This video lecture has been produced using artificial intelligence with the supervision of Belhaven faculty. When we talk about school improvement, it's easy to get stuck in a rut, basically just checking off boxes. But what if there's a fundamentally better way? This lecture is all about that, a huge shift in perspective. We're talking about moving a school from an organization that just complies with rules to one that truly learns and grows. And that one simple idea, well, it changes everything. So how do we actually make that shift happen? Here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to unpack what it really means to go from compliance to learning. Then we'll look at the specific leadership skills you need to have, and we'll dig into the CSI framework itself. We'll even compare the two school models side by side. And finally, we'll talk about why all this work is worth it, and maybe most importantly, how to make it last.
Okay, let's dive into the core concept that really underpins this whole conversation, that move away from a culture of just getting by, of mere compliance, and toward a culture of real, continuous learning.
At the heart of all this is a concept called continuous school improvement, or CSI. And no, this isn't just about putting out fires as they pop up. It's a proactive system for making smarter decisions. The key ingredient? It's all about using data. But we're not just talking about test scores here. We're talking about getting the full picture. Demographics, perception surveys, process data, the whole shebang. That's how you build improvement strategies that actually work and stick around. Of course, a framework is just a tool, right? It's only as good as the leaders who use it. So what exactly are the skills required to lead this kind of transformation? Let's break down those competencies. Now, I want you to think of these skills less like a checklist and more like an interconnected engine for improvement. It all starts with a vision, sure, but a vision that's grounded in real data, not just wishful thinking. You analyze that data to find actual insights, which then allows you to design interventions that are fair and effective. But here's the critical part. None of that works in a vacuum. You have to foster a collaborative culture where data is everyone's business. From there, you lead, you implement, and you find the resources to sustain the work. See how it all connects? It's a complete system. And developing these kinds of deep skills, well, it takes a multifaceted approach. It's not enough to just hear about these ideas in a lecture. Real competency comes from seeing them, reading about them, actually analyzing data yourself, and then applying and examining these ideas with your colleagues. Each part builds on the other to create a much deeper, more practical understanding. And it's so important to be clear. This kind of transformative work demands serious commitment. It isn't a shortcut. It takes a high degree of self-motivation and personal responsibility to drive this kind of change forward, day in and day out. Okay, with that foundation in place, let's get into the actual mechanics of the continuous school improvement framework. So by the end of this, when you really get this framework, you'll be able to do 4 key things. You'll be able to identify what CSI is and explain its benefits. You'll be able to look at a school and accurately assess its real commitment to improvement. You'll be able to see how data is actually being used or not used. And finally, you'll be able to connect all of this to what the research says true school success really looks like. This brings us to a really crucial point. These things you see here, they're non-negotiable. Think of them as the absolute pillars of a learning organization. You can't just pick and choose. You have to commit to engaging everyone, empowering them with data and tools, building a vision together, and creating genuine shared decision-making. If any one of these pillars is weak, the whole structure of improvement becomes unstable. All of this really boils down to a fundamental choice between 2 very different ways of operating a school. So let's put them right next to each other and see just how different they are. Okay, this is where the rubber really meets the road. Just look at the language. On the left, in the compliance model, what do you see? Words like blame, reactive, top-down. Data is used to find fault, and leadership is about giving orders. Now look to the right, at the continuous improvement model. The entire vocabulary changes. We see embrace, proactive, shared. Here, data is a tool for understanding needs. The vision isn't just a poster, it's a living guide for teaching and learning. The fundamental difference is this. The compliance school asks, are we following the rules? The learning organization asks, are our students learning, and how can we get better? It's a world of difference. So, why go through all this tough, hard work? What are the real, tangible benefits of becoming a learning organization? Well, the payoff is just profound. Schools that really embrace this model can finally get a crystal clear picture of who their students are and what they really need. They don't just see results on a spreadsheet, they understand why they're getting those results and how to improve them.
And because everyone is rowing in the same direction with a shared vision, new strategies actually get implemented with fidelity. But maybe the biggest benefit of all is the ability to finally answer that one critical question. Is what we are doing every single day actually making a difference for our students? This leads us to our final, and maybe the most critical point: how do you make this work last? And this might be the most important thing to take away from our entire conversation. Continuous school improvement is not a project. It doesn't have a start date and an end date. You can't just check it off a list. It is a fundamental shift in the school's DNA. It's an ongoing commitment that has to be woven into the very fabric of the organization's culture, year after year after year. So as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a few core questions to reflect on. First, what, in your own words, truly defines a learning organization? And beyond just the definition, what's the deep personal motivation? Why is this a worthy goal for your context, for your school?
And think about the how. We've seen that the CISI framework provides the map, but how do all those pieces actually connect to fuel that real transformation? And finally, it all comes back to the payoff for doing this hard, essential work. Because becoming a learning organization, it isn't just about better data or better systems. It's about creating a place where every single student has the absolute best chance to succeed. And really, what more important work is there for a school leader to do?